think. And looks like they're getting ready to go. They are, and as I mentioned, we'll get them synced up. I do believe both runners will be going for the 1-1 and 1-2 power-ups. It is definitely the safest strategy here, and we do indeed see both runners grabbing the mushroom in 1-1, which means they will grab firepower in 1-2. Jeremy gets the 376, Mars the 375. Not really going to make too much of a difference because you have to slow down a touch to get the 365 anyway. And once they're synced up, we'll be able to see if they are on the same frame rule heading into 1-2, where they will look to grab the Fire Flower. You can grab Firepower in 1-3 and 1-4, which is a little bit faster, but it is not quite as safe because then you will potentially have to do a very difficult Koopa Goomba jump section and some pipe jumps. So this is the safer strategy. You just get to fireball all of these enemies out of the way, and both runners clean so far in 1-2. Jeremy getting the 353 pipe exit, and Mars also getting the 353 pipe exit. So perfect 1-2s for both runners. And Sync is being a little bit slow. No worries. Mind of Me does a great job here for SpeedGaming. So let's all make sure we thank the SpeedGaming community for letting us put on this show, and we're all synced up, ready to go. Looks like they're on the exact same frame rules, so thank you very much, SpeedGaming, for putting on this tournament. Without them, y'all, we wouldn't have these exciting races to watch. So thank them in chat, please, because they are fantastic. We are now going into 1-4, identically tied here. I do believe if things go correct for both of these, they will get a Bowser pattern that'll allow them to do a very quick kill and get maybe a 262 on the timer. So we will just have to wait and see how their Bowser's kill goes. It is faster to kill Bowser with fireballs than to run past him and touch the axe. So even though you do have to slow down a little bit to kill him with fireballs, as we watch the Bowser kills, both nailing them. Jeremy getting a little bit of a quicker kill and is going to take the early super tiny lead by probably 1 frame rule, which is 0.35 seconds. I think it was probably 0.35 seconds there, it looked like. But the Bowser kill is faster with fire because if you were to touch the axe, instead of killing Bowser with fire, then you'd have to wait for the bridge to collapse, Bowser to fall into the lava, and that whole process takes around 3 seconds. So much faster, even if you have to slow down a little bit, to still kill Bowser with the fireballs. Because then when you touch the axe, you just go straight on to hang out with our good buddy Toad, who tells you the princess is in another castle. Clean through 2-1 onto 2-2. This is the first of the 2 water sections, the other being 7-2. They're both laid out identically, but 2-2 has fewer enemies, so a little bit easier, but there still can be some kind of tricky choke points. The first one of which you'll see Jeremy come to just before Mars gets there. 2 fireballs for Jeremy, no problem. 1 fireball for Mars, no problem. And they're through that first choke point. This spot right here can be a little bit tricky if you get some cheeps in a bad position. Both of them very easy patterns. And then at the final choke point is this coral right here that both runners have no problem navigating. 3:16 on the timer for both of them is the perfect time through the swim. And I do see Mr. GTAce here in chat, our world record holder, our first of 2 finalists scouting the competition. GTAce, how you doing, buddy? Into 2-3. 2-3 is the cheap dash. Beat the cheaps. These fishes are not usually going to pose too many problems. There's a couple of patterns that can be a little bit of a doozy, but the runners won't have any problems on the frame rules they are on currently. If you get past the first section of 2-3, like the first half of 2-3, the second half is pretty much no problem. You can't really get what's known as a bad cheap. And then you are clean into 2-4. So 2-4, the second of our castle levels. One tricky spot would be the elevator jump here. You have to do a duck jump, so you want to make sure you hit that down input, and then you have to try to get a fast Bowser kill. So both of these runners will know exactly what's going to be coming here. Jeremy jumping over the fireball, Mars jumping over that middle fireball as well. 2 early fireballs, then get a couple more, and both get a 261 on the timer. I think Jeremy's going to pull off another frame rule here. Mars had a little bit of what we call an axe boss. He didn't quite get up onto the axe there to touch it, which cost him a few frames, which will actually cost him a frame rule, which is an increment of 21 frames, or about a third of a second, where the game checks for level completion every 21 frames. So you can't go on to the next level until every 21st frame, and so even if Mars is only a couple of frames slower, he missed that 21 frame window. That lets Jeremy pull a 2-frame rule lead out. So now Jeremy is ahead by 0.7 seconds over Mars. Heading into 3-2. 3-2, a very comfortable level for these runners. There shouldn't be too many problems. If you do miss a duck input on one of these jumps here, it could cause you to bonk your head and fall into a hole. That's usually the trickiest spot. The other thing, of course, that we like to talk about is the thank you Goofy strategy. You're going to see these runners shoot fireballs right there, in tune with the music. That is going to despawn a Goomba right in front of the stairs. Thank you, Goofy Chocobo, for that despawn. Not the strategy itself. We've known about the despawn, but shooting those fireballs in tune with the music is something that that Goofy Chocobo kind of found out about, and so now most of the players in the community use that strategy. We are into 3-3, not going to be a problem for either runner. 3-4, though, is where things start to get interesting. Both of these players will be using what we call the spreadsheet, and that's because we talked about this frame rule system. That means you are going to know the time that you start 3-4 as long as you haven't had any major mistakes, and neither runner has had a major mistake. So the frame rule and the time you get there is going to determine the patterns that you get of these Potaboos and of Bowser in this level. So both of them will know exactly what patterns they're going to get. You're going to see Jeremy going under these Potaboos. Mars, similar. A little trickier pattern for Mars, so it may cost him a touch of time, and he is going to lose maybe 1 or 2 more frame rules versus Jeremy because he had a little bit trickier pattern there. But still very clean for both runners. But Jeremy pulling out around a 1.5 second lead here. So early advantage, Jeremy. Perfect run for him, basically. Mars with almost a perfect run. I mean, a couple little things on the Bowser kills is the only reason he's behind Jeremy, but nice and clean and very much in this race. If Jeremy has one slip up, Mars probably going to be in the lead. So really good race for both runners. 4-1, easiest level in the speed run, but 4-2, we've got, I believe, a double bottom route that we're going to be seeing. Both runners choosing to take the bottom in 4-2. You can also go on the top route. The top route is a little bit safer if you get up there because you don't have any enemies to deal with. If you were to miss like a fireball on the bottom route, you could potentially run into one of these piranha plants if you mistime it or just don't even get a fireball shot off. Or if you miss a jump or something, it could cause a little bit of confusion. But on the top route, you don't have to worry about any of that. It's just a little bit harder to get to the top than to stay on the bottom here. So it's really runner's preference. Both routes are equally as fast, and both runners perfect in 4-2 with the 355 exit. 4-3 has a very special frame rule. If you go perfectly through 4-3 without slowing down, and you jump from a very specific 2-frame window at the end of the level, and what will happen is Mario will end up 1 pixel above the block at the base of the flagpole. And if that happens, he'll get to the castle 2 frames sooner, which is enough to get there in that 2-frame, in that extra 21-frame window, which will save you 1 frame rule versus if you were to rest on the base of the block there. It's just a function of the mechanic in this game where Mario accelerates faster if he is moving in the opposite direction of which he's facing. If he is that 1 pixel above the block, he'll accelerate for just a couple extra frames. Then if he's resting on the block, he'll just immediately turn around and walk off the block. 4-4 is one of our maze levels, the other being 7-4. Runners will have no problem with the maze, but the Bowser kill can be a little bit tricky. 347 for Jeremy, 348 for Mars, so maybe Mars pulls back one of these frame rules. It's tough to say because in-game seconds don't automatically correlate to frame rules, but it does look like Mars gained a frame rule back. I think he's back down to 3 frame rules behind instead of 4 frame rules behind, so Mars clawing one back there in 4-4. Now we're in 5-1, shouldn't give these runners too much trouble, but World 5 is where things start to get tricky. Fortunately for both runners, they're on a pace where they're going to know exactly what patterns they're going to get, especially in 5-2 and 5-4. and that's going to help them maintain really quick speed. And some of them have even decided that they know exactly what they're going to get in 5-3 if they've mapped out these frame rules. So we're going to watch and see that neither runner is going to have any problem with the opening portion of 5-2. That bullet bill cannon there can shoot a bullet bill that could kill you, or at least give you damage if you're Big Mario or Fire Mario. But in this case, they knew that bullet bill cannon was not going to fire because of the timing of the speedrun at which they entered the level. So perfect 347s on the timers for both runners in 5-2. Going into 5-3, we'll have to see what happens with these bullet bills in 5-3. They can cause some problems, but hopefully these runners know exactly what to expect in 5-3 from the bullet bills. All right, and we do see they have different patterns here, and that's because they entered the level at different times. Jeremy with a nice slide underneath that one bullet bill, and Mars with a very clean pattern as well. Jeremy intentionally bonked there on the base of the flagpole. That slowdown was on purpose to set him up for what we call a good firebar pattern in 5-4. So now these two look like they're one frame rule apart, and both should have... Well, Jeremy has good firebars. Mars, unfortunately, is not at a point on the spreadsheet where he could guarantee a good firebar. So he had to do what we call the Roy L. Goodbar strategy, which is... Oh no, and Mars takes a hit! He shorted that jump a little bit and got a low Bowser fire pattern there, and is going to fall significantly behind Jeremy at this point. He was doing a safer strategy to wait on the Podoboos, but that jump over the Podoboos, he cut short a little bit and got the low Bowser fire, and that unfortunately cost him his power-up there. So he will grab power-ups here in 6-1. There are two of them that you can grab that are relatively comfortable. So, if you are going to lose power-up, 5-4 is one of the better spots to do so. But certainly Mars at a disadvantage. He's going to need a mistake from Jeremy now to continue on in this race as far as game number 1 having a chance. But at this point, Mars is reliant on a hit from Jeremy or a mistake from Jeremy. Jeremy, meanwhile, really clean through 6-1 and now into 6-2. All right, Jeremy going a little bit different route than we see most runners take. I don't know if that's his preferred route or if he just missed getting up to the top there, but either way, he knew exactly what to do. No problems for him there, and optimal in this level is a 342 on the timer. You can get a 343 on the timer, but that 3 in the ones digit of the timer would give you 3 fireworks. Likewise, if you get a 6 in the ones digit of the timer, you're going to get 6 fireworks. 6 fireworks will cost you around 2.5, 3 seconds. 3 fireworks will cost you around 1.5 seconds. So you definitely want to make sure you avoid fireworks. This level is another level where you can get fireworks. You can get a 256 on the timer. Instead, the runners will slow down just enough to try to get a 255 on the timer and not get those fireworks. So we do see Jeremy getting the 255. Mars, meanwhile, coming through 6-3 as well. Jeremy should know where he is on the spreadsheet, so we'll see if he challenges the Podoboos in 6-4. He does, and perfect start there to 6-4. He knows he's going to get good firebars, and beautifully executed through the tight firebar section. Mars, meanwhile, we're going to see him probably do a safer strategy. He's going to have to wait because he took that damage, so he's not going to know the pattern he get. But that safe strategy will cost him some time, but it'll set up nice firebars in 6-4. And that's the best thing that he can do to make sure he still keeps his firepower and still has a chance in this race. He could have taken a riskier strat, but in that case, he may have gotten bad firebars, which have slowed him down, or he may have taken damage. So the safer strat only costs a couple seconds and is much more preferred if you don't know the pattern. Meanwhile, Jeremy, perfect 352 on the timer. This is also a level where you can get fireworks with a 353, so a little slowdown on the stairs section will ensure you get that 352. And now we're going to head back into 7-2, like I told you all about at the start of 2-2. 7-2 going to be a repeat, but a lot more bloopers, a lot more cheeps, and there's always the potential for the bad blooper at the end of this level. That would be one of these octopus or squid-like things, these bloopers that potentially get in the way of the final pipe of the level, the exit pipe. And if that happens, that can cost you some time. So we got to watch out for that. So far, clean in 7-2 for both runners. We do see Mars did come to rest on the ground a little bit at one point, so That may cost him a frame rule. We'll have to end up seeing Jeremy with a perfect 316. Didn't get a bad blooper. He had one going to the right there, but it was far enough away from the pipe that it didn't pose him any problem whatsoever. And Mars getting the blooper going to the left, so good bloopers for both, and I think Mars had enough of a clean pipe exit there and not enough time spent on the ground that he's going to get the optimal 316 as well. You can get a low 316, which will cost you a frame rule, but it looked like Mars did pretty well there as we see Jeremy with a nice decision to jump that Koopa and get under the Cheep Cheep. That was a close window there. Well done by Jeremy. Very good skill. That is not a luck-based jump. That is a very skilled jump by Jeremy there, making sure he gets through that window, being able to anticipate both the Koopa and the Cheep Cheep trajectories there. Mars, meanwhile, also very clean in 7-3, and both runners perfect 7-3s going into 7-4, the second of our two maze levels. This is a little bit harder of a maze. The runners know exactly the route to take, but if you have a little bit of a bunk in the second half of this maze section, it can throw off Mario's X position, and if that throws off his X position enough, you may actually miss one of the triggers for the maze. The trigger is determined by Mario's Y position at the X position where the trigger happens, and if that happens, you'll have to go around and loop around through the maze once more, which will cost you a lot of time, but both runners easy peasy through the maze. Good Bowser kill from Jeremy. Mars getting the forward Bowser. Great kill from him as well. And we are on to World 8. This run is not over, folks. Just because Jeremy has a relatively significant advantage doesn't mean the run is over. It is possible to take a spill at the end of these levels. 8-1 stairs have some gaps in them. 8-2 stairs. There can be some difficult Koopa patterns in 8-2. All sorts of things can happen. And if you take a death at any point in any of the levels in World 8, you will go back to the beginning of that particular level. So let's say you die at the very end of 8-2. You go all the way back to the beginning of 8-2. There are no checkpoints at this point in time. Other levels, in the overworld levels 1-1 through -3, there are checkpoints. So like if you die a little more than halfway through the level on a lot of these levels, you will start around halfway through the level as well. So those are kind of more forgiving deaths. But here, if you die at the end of a level, you go all the way back to the beginning of the level. So 8-2 going to be a critical level for Jeremy here to make sure he has a clean run and doesn't take any damage. So once we get past this gap here, there's going to be 3 Koopas. He shoots some fireballs, knocks 2 of them out of the way. And then there's a stair Koopa here. He gets a nice one that he can bounce off of and is clean through 8-2. So he's got to be feeling pretty comfortable right now. It's tough to lose power up in 8-3 as Big Fire Mario when you, just have these Hammer Bros and maybe a Koopa and a couple Piranha Plants in the way. But it has happened before. But certainly Jeremy feeling very good because he's got firepower and can shoot the Hammer Brothers out of the way. Clean through, and now he's at the Hammer Bro Gauntlet. There's going to be 4 Hammer Bros here. Let's make sure he doesn't get the Troll Bro. He kind of gets a Troll Bro, but no problem for him. Perfect 242 on the timer. Mars not far behind at all. Jeremy's on an incredible pace here. He is definitely on 19.0x pace. Mars doing a little bunk on the coin block there to ensure he gets 242. You can get a 243, so definitely wanted to do that slowdown on purpose to avoid the fireworks. All right, wall jump room for Jeremy. He's going to do what we call the 2-frame setup. This is so that he has 2 frames to hit that wall jump right there where he jumps off the side of the pipe. And now into the turnaround room. Great turnaround. And 2 more rooms for Jeremy. As long as he doesn't take a hit in this water section, he's going to be home free. Because any bad thing that can happen in the final room, he'll be able to have iframes that get him through to the end. So as long as Jeremy has a good water section here, he's going to win race number 1. Get that Hammer Bro out of the way. He does take a hit to the Podoboo, but that's not a problem. The iframes will get him to the axe at a time of 19.08. That is an incredible run. Get your GGs out for Jeremy. And Mars still going to post a really nice time as well. Also taking a hit to the Podoboo. 19.21 on the timer for Mars. So well done for both runners. But Jeremy taking the 1-0 lead in this best of 3. We are making room number 2. And race number 2 will get started in just a moment. Now remember, this is a best of 3, so we are not out of the woods yet. I'm going to take just a quick pause to kind of grab some water here, and we'll be back set up with race number 2 in just a moment. Alrighty, looks like we are getting set up for race number 2 between Jeremy and Mars. Jeremy with a 1-0 lead over Mars, and he had a super clean run. So it's imperative for Mars that he keep pace with Jeremy here in race number 2 and hope Jeremy's the one that has a mistake instead of Mars having the mistake here. So both runners coming into 1-1 here. Jeremy, the usual 376, while Mars getting the 375, so very similar to race number 1. And Jeremy taking a little spill off the block there, so it looks like he had picked up an early lead on Mars from room number 1, but kind of lost it back there in room number 2, and they should be tied up heading into 1-2. Now, it looks like they started their timers and their games just slightly different, so the sync isn't 1,000,000% perfect, but it's close enough for our purposes. If these two finish extremely close, we can always retime the runs, so no problem here. Sync is good enough for our purposes, and both runners into 1-2. Beautiful 1-2 at this point for each of them, getting the Piranha Plant snipes and killing some extra enemies for fun as well. Going on to the Overworld, they both got the 353 pipe exit, which is going to allow them to get a 347 on the timer. It is, a pretty tight window to get that 353 pipe exit. If you get a 352 pipe exit, that would put you at a 346 on the timer if you didn't slow down to grab the flagpole. Then you'd have to slow down even more to make sure you get a 345 instead of a 346. It is better, of course, as I mentioned in race number 1, to get the 345 than the 346. So that's what you definitely want to do there. But both runners, no problem in 1-2 on to 1-3. And looking pretty perfect here. 1-4, they're going to know exactly what to do. As I said, for Bowser, both of these runners experienced enough to know if they miss a frame rule or if they get a frame rule or whatever ends up happening, they know exactly what to do on these Bowser patterns in the early game. So let's watch the Bowser kills. 5 fireballs to kill Bowser. And there we go. Both players getting the 262 on the timer. Great kills there. But we do see once again that they are now perfectly synced up, it looks like. So I did see different fireball patterns for them. And because there's, the smallest bit of desync, it was tough to tell if they're on the exact same frame rule in 1-4, but I did see different Bowser flames, and I didn't see either have a duck jump earlier in the level. So I think they were on different frame rules, and now I think they are on the same frame rule. We'll be able to tell when we get to 2-2, when we get to the choke point, where we get to the first enemy section. We'll be able to see what their pattern is and know if they'll be on the same frame rule or on different frame rules. But I think they're both on the same frame rule at this point in time, but we'll see. Meanwhile, enjoy some swimming music. It is very, very wonderful and comforting music, but we are coming up to this first choke point. Let's see how the patterns are. Although Jeremy did snipe a blooper out of the way, but yeah, they do have the same they do have the same patterns, but Jeremy in that first choke point takes the hit. So advantage Mars early on in race number 2. That's what Mars needed to have a bit of an edge in a 1-0 hole. So there we go. The tides have turned, and now we're set up to where Jeremy needs the mistake from Mars to get back into this matchup. These runners are so good and so close that one hit, one damage is actually a major advantage between these two. So, you know, just misjudging that fireball a little bit, or the height of Mario swimming there, and takes a hit in that first choke point, giving the edge to Mars. We will see Jeremy power up here, 2-3, and then 2-4 as well. This power up can be a little tricky. Got to watch out for the cheeps. Well done by Jeremy. He's going to get one from underneath, but that's not going to be a problem. He's going to bounce off of that, but he will need to watch the timer at the end of this level as well. It is very possible he gets a 236. He wants to make sure he avoids the 236 on the timer. Oh, we got the 233, so he actually had more slowdown than I thought and ended up getting the 233. That's going to cost him a 1.5 seconds as well, in the neighborhood of 1 to 1.5 seconds. You see those 3 fireworks going off. Badoo, badoo, badoo. That right there, that animation, 1 to 1.5 seconds of time loss. Great fire grab there from Jeremy in 2-4. And he's going to be on his way, but he won't know the Bowser patterns he's going to get. And he won't know going forward in 3-4 or World 5 or anything like that, the patterns that he's going to get. So that's going to put him at an even further disadvantage. Mars in game number 1, where he took his damage, it didn't put him at such a disadvantage because he still could do a fast 3-4, a fast 5-2, a fast 5-3. Now, he didn't get good fire bars in 5-4, so he had to do the Royal Good Bar strat, but certainly Mars, where he took damage, was a little bit more advantageous in race number 1 than where Jeremy took in race number 2. So Mars is going to have probably a pretty significant lead if he keeps himself clean, and both runners very good in 3-1, getting the perfect timers. Those stairs in 3-1, I didn't talk about this in race number 1, can be very tricky. There's 2 Koopas kind of, rolling off the stairs there, moseying their way on down. You do have to kill the first one out of the way, and either kill the second one out of the way, or let the second one, just slide down onto the next stair enough that you can get over him, do a little slowdown to let him get by. But no problem for either runner here. We are in 3-2, and getting the kills to despawn some Goombas. Jeremy just blasting everything out of the way. And we'll have to see what his frame of mind is here. I'm sure he's been in this position multiple times, so just gotta keep your cool and keep on going as we see Mars going through the platform there in 3-3. Always love seeing the little bits and pieces of swag. Jeremy, meanwhile, going over the platform, but just runner's preference on how they prefer to do the start of the level here. So what we will see in 3-4 is Mars go for it. He's going to go for, getting past these Potaboos, whereas Jeremy probably going to have to take a little bit safer route. So Mars coming up to this Potaboo gauntlet, as I call it. Over. Nicely done by Mars. And little hesitation on the Bowser kill. Jeremy, see, doing the safer strategy, waiting for these Potaboos to get by. And a good Bowser kill, 259 on the timer. But that extra hesitation that he had to do there is what's going to cost him a little bit extra time relative to Mars in that level. But maybe not as much as possible, because Mars got kind of a tricky pattern there and had to wait on Bowser a little bit as well. So not as much of a disadvantage for Jeremy as it could have been in that level. All right, 4-1, easy peasy for both runners. Into 4-2, we're going to see the double bottom route again. And, of course, 4-2 is the most infamous level in Mario speedrunning. This is where the wrong warp takes place for the any percent category, but we ain't using the wrong warp here. No, not at all in the warpless category. We don't want to go to World 8. If you do, you're going to be in big trouble, so don't do any warping here. But bottom route for Mars, bottom route for Jeremy. If you hit that vine there, you won't have an extra piranha plant to deal with in that pipe that Jeremy just landed on. It will make a piranha plant in the next pipe, but that pipe isn't going to be one that you're jumping on anyway. So runners do like to hit the vine to despawn an earlier piranha plant than a later piranha plant. It'll give you a little bit less trouble there in 4-2 on the bottom route. All right, 4-3, we'll see if either of the runners misses the sky boots. That again is if you play this level perfectly without slowing down and jump from a perfect spot, you will get Mario to come to rest 1 pixel above the base of the block, and that's going to save you an extra frame rule. We see Mars does get it, and let's see if Jeremy gets it. Jeremy also gets it, so perfect for both players as we head into the castle level here, 4-4. This, of course, being one of our maze levels, the other being 7-4. You're going to go up and around. It looks like you're taking, kind of a circuitous route here. That's the way to make sure you hit the checkpoints in this level. And the Bowser kill, probably the toughest in the game. No problem, though, for Mars. He gets a fully backward Bowser, which is nice. 348 on the timer. Let's see what happens for Jeremy. Fully forward Bowser. Jeremy still gets the 348 as well. So really nicely done in 4-4. World 5, Mars gonna be on the spreadsheet, gonna know exactly what's gonna happen in World 5. Jeremy not gonna know. Now, it's not gonna be an issue for 5-1. You don't have any RNG really to worry about in 5-1. But 5-2, the opening bullet bill cannon launcher, it can shoot a potentially early bill that could get in your way, and you don't want to have that happen, but we'll have to see. Mars, we know he's gonna be okay. Jeremy on the right side of your screen here, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens for him as it comes to that first bullet bill shot. Does he challenge it? Does he get a bad bill? Let's find out. Challenges it, no bad bill. So both runners are gonna have hopefully clean 5-2s. I was gonna say clean 5-2s, but things can happen. This piranha plant right there, you can miss that snipe that Jeremy did get. Mars with the perfect 347. Jeremy, 2 coins there, and 347 as well. Mars, pretty comfortable position here. He should be set up for good bars in 5-4, I believe. Jeremy, meanwhile, not going to know what patterns he's going to get in 5-3 or 5-4 as well. So let's watch out and see if Jeremy gets any bad bullet bills. Oh, nicely done by Jeremy there to get that bullet bill stomp. And I do believe Mars is going to, get an intentional frame rule loss there. Oh! Jeremy takes a death. He got that bill that, kind of just bounced off it, and not a whole lot he could do about it. That bounce launched him into a hole. And unfortunately for him, that's going to set him into a bigger deficit. Now, Mars actually is just going to play a safer strategy in 5-4. So maybe he actually wasn't on a good frame rule on the spreadsheet anyway after getting that 259. Now, he is going to want to make sure he doesn't take damage here like he did in race number 1. This time, a much cleaner 5-4 for Mars. Heading into World 6, damageless at this point in time. All right, Jeremy coming through 5-4. Oh, man, getting over that fire bar. Challenging the Potaboos. And up and over the top to hit the axe and defeat Bowser, but certainly in a pretty big deficit for Jeremy here. Into 6-1, he's going to have to power up, and so you're going to jump over on the top here. That'll despawn, or not despawn, but it'll prevent Lakitu from throwing an extra spiny there. And one fun fact, every time you grab a power-up, Lakitu will also throw a spiny. So Jeremy, watch here when he grabs this fire flower. As soon as he grabs fire, Lakitu is going to throw a spiny right there. But Jeremy able to get between the 2 spinies and get on through 6-1 into 6-2, but he's close to a full level behind Mars. Mars certainly with an advantage at this point with 2 deaths from Jeremy. 1 death from Jeremy and another power-up loss. So not a good position for Jeremy to be in relative to Mars. Mars just has to keep it clean, and we'll have another Game 3 in these matches here. We haven't had a ton, but we have had a couple. And Jeremy going this bottom route again in 6-2, so that's definitely his preferred route there. So that's cool to see from Jeremy, taking a little different route than most runners take in 6-2. Meanwhile, Mars had a clean 6-2, and now into 6-3, perfect 255 on the timer there, and going into 6-4. We'll have to see. He's had a clean enough run, and if he's mapped the frame rules out far enough in 6-4, he will know what to do. But it also is possible he just wants to play it safe or is on a bad pattern here. And whether it's a bad pattern or playing it safe, Mars doing that in 6-4. And we'll set him up for good fire bars through the maze, the tunnel section there. Onto the Bowser kill, just a minimal amount of lag. Meanwhile, Jeremy did have a slowdown in 6-3, so instead of getting a 255 on the timer, he got a 252. That'll cost him around an extra second there, approximately 3 frame rules. 7-1, you want to jump from bullet bill launcher to bullet bill launcher at the start of that level. That way you'll have an easy time. And kind of a tricky pattern there for Mars. He got the 2 hammer bros on the bottom, but dealt with them nicely. Was able to make that tight jump up onto the pillar. And on his way into 7-2, meanwhile, Jeremy coming into 7-1, going to try to replicate what Mars just did there. But Mars sitting pretty. However, 7-2 can be a very tough level with the extra enemies. We saw Jeremy take a hit in 2-2. This is just 2-2 all over again, but with even more enemies. So certainly not home free yet for Mars. All right, good through the first choke point for Mars. Coming up here to the second choke point. Goes over that cheap. No bad cheeps in the way there. This blooper, you kind of can give you some trouble sometimes. And now I have to see if he gets the bad blooper here at the end. He's going to have a tight one here. He's going to have to... Oh, he does challenge it and gets a perfect exit. I thought he was going to have to wait there, but he outsmarted the commentator. That's why he's in the semifinals and I am not, because Mars... challenging the blooper and getting by with a perfect pipe exit. Well done, Mars. Meanwhile, Jeremy coming up to the next tight section here as Mars is in 7-3. Repeat of 2-3, but with Koopas and flying Koopas, Paracoopas, and extra cheeps. Jeremy with a very nice 7-2 as well, the perfect 316. And Mars... easy peasy in 7-3. Jeremy going into 7-3 himself, about a full level behind. 7-4, Mars just wants to make sure he does not loop things, and he'll be feeling pretty good about himself, at least through 8-1 if he keeps his power up here. You want to make sure you keep your power up. Don't rush the Bowser fight at this point. Having Fire Flower for 8-1 is massively important in the Warpless category. Good maze section from Mars, and let's watch this Bowser kill. Beautifully done. Almost no lag, maybe even no lag, and Mars heading into World 8 with firepower. So he should be feeling pretty comfortable. Once again, I will remind you all there is no power-up, or no checkpoints here in World 8, so you don't want to take a spill anywhere in this level. Alright, Mars stomping the 2 Koopas there. What that's going to do is despawn a Goomba and allow you to get through that section there a little bit easier without having to slow down or worrying about killing the Goombas. And good start here for Mars in 8-1. And Jeremy, meanwhile, coming up to the same section, hit those 2 Koopas. You're going to get over the Goombas there because it despawns a Goomba, makes it a lot easier. And Mars with the perfect 8-1. Jeremy actually missed the star block there. That's kind of an interesting thing. You do want to hit the star block. That star block, for some reason, links up to the flagpole and will lower the flag on the flagpole by 1 pixel. That 1 pixel is enough to save 1 frame, and that 1 frame is enough to save 1 frame rule. So that is... That's what's going to happen in 8-1. So Jeremy will lose 1 frame rule relative to Mars in 8-1. Mars, perfect 8-2. Very good, because the end of 8-2 can be pretty tough there. So well done for Mars in 8-2. Now Jeremy trying to follow suit and have as good of an 8-2 as Mars had. But Mars is on incredible pace. Because he had to do the Royale Good bars, and he had a couple other slowdowns, 6-4, for example. I don't think he's on 19.0x pace, but I think he's on, mid 19.1x pace, like a 19.14 in that neighborhood. But we'll have to see what pace Mars is on. The final level, when, Mars starts running in the final level, is going to be about 45 seconds, give or take a little bit, probably 45 to 46 seconds. Given that he's not going to be doing the perfect fast strategy here. We do see Jeremy doing a buffer jump at the start, so maybe he's going for a flagpole glitch in 8-3. We'll see. All right, and wall jump room for Mars. He's doing the 2-frame setup. Hit that wall jump right there. You have a 2-frame window to do that. Jeremy did go for a flagpole glitch, didn't get it. Mars, meanwhile, into the turnaround room. Pixel perfect turnaround. Well done for Mars. And into the final room, or second to last room, I should say. As long as he's clean through this room, the final room will give him no trouble. Even if he takes damage, it's not going to be a big deal. So looks like he's right around 1913 pace. Depends if he gets a hit. He does take a hit here. Even faster than that. 1910 for Mars. So excellent, excellent run. 1910. And Jeremy, not going to be too far behind, but he is around 19.3x pace. So race number 2 goes to Mars. That means we are in for a rubber match. Game 3 in this best of 3 series between the number 2 seed Mars, number 3 seed Jeremy. Get your GGs out in chat. Excellent, excellent match number 2. And this is what we want to see. All the drama. 1941 for Jeremy. GG's out for Jeremy as well. Obviously not the race he wanted, but it's a good thing he took race number 1 because that means we are going on to race number 3. Jeremy, the 3 seed, Mars, the 2 seed. Winner goes on to the grand finals. Face our number 1 seed and world record holder, GTAce 99. I am Takate. I am doing your commentary, and I'll be back in just a moment as we get ready for race number 3. Alrighty, set up for race number 3. They are underway in SRL. Obviously, the restream will catch up in just a bit. So we're going to have to watch and see what happens in race number 3. I'm really hoping, as I mentioned there in chat, that we get a double clean race. This double clean race would put us, both of them at like 19.0x, 19.1x pace. That would be something we really want to see. So here we go, getting ready to get started in the rubber match for all the marbles, the whole enchilada, the whole ball of wax. Race number 3 between Jeremy and Mars. Get them fired up. What do we got in chat? What are your predictions? Race number 3 between these two. Oh, and we see Mars there having a little bit of trouble getting into the pipe. That's going to cost him an early lead. I don't know if that's going to mess up his Bowser patterns in 1-4 if he's got him mapped out this far, but certainly not what Mars wanted to have happen right off the bat here. So pretty tough start for Mars, losing at least a full second to Jeremy there. All right, power-up grab. Well done by both runners. They're both on pace to get that 353. You do want to get a 353 pipe exit if possible, because that'll set you up to get a 347 on the timer at the end of this level. If you get a 352 pipe exit, you'll be set up for a 346. That's 6 in the ones digit. Oh, Jeremy, and they both got the 352. So commentator doesn't know what he's talking about. They both looked like they had really clean and fast firepower grabs, but maybe they had enough slowdown midway through the level to only get the 352, but both missing the 353, getting the 352, which would give them a 346 on the timer. That means they had to do a slowdown in that final room to avoid a 6, so that's going to cost them each a couple of frame rules, but since it happened to them both, they remain equally quick in 1-2. Now, obviously, Mars lost the time in 1-1, but their 1-2s were the same time. So that's going to cost Mars a little bit more time relative to the spreadsheet coming into 1-4. So we'll have to see if he knows what to do with this Bowser kill here, what kind of Bowser he's going to get. Mars has already lost probably at least 5 frame rules versus what he optimally wants to do at this point. So he probably has Bowser mapped out this far, but we'll see. Well, Jeremy, oh my goodness, really nice kill from Mars. Jeremy had a little bit of a hiccup there, had to kind of slow down, and Mars going to make up that time back that he lost in 1-1. We're perfectly synced up, y'all, heading into 2-2. All square, even Steven, into 2-1, I should say, not 2-2. Idiot boss commentator moment there, but hey, we got a lot going on here. I'm gonna have a little slip up every once in a while. I love the different routes that these runners take in 2-1. There's a lot of fun ways to play the level, and both runners, despite their different route choices, perfect 345s on the timer, and we're going to see identical patterns here in 2-2 at this first choke point. Now, remember, last time we had identical patterns in 2-2 at this first choke point, Jeremy actually ended up taking a hit, so we'll have to see what happens here in 2-2. Both runners wanting to keep it clean, of course, and avoid taking any damage. And they'll be using their firepower. Neither of them doing the crouch swim strategy in 2-2. Perfectly in sync with the fire kills as well. That was awesome. Now, you see that they did get a little bit of a deviation in the patterns there, and that just depends on earlier enemies you kill. We saw Jeremy kill a blooper right at the start of the level. Also, maybe in a little bit variation in the way that you swim. But no problems for either runner. They both exit the pipe identically, and we are still in sync heading into 2-3. The major difference, the coin count. Mars leading in coin count. What about the score? Also leading barely in the score. So, you know, that's not actually a tiebreaker, but kind of a fun thing just to look at because, hey, what else do we have here to separate these two? Jeremy gets the tough cheap there. The reason they had different patterns, again, is because Mars and Jeremy have been hitting different enemies with their fireballs. So that does throw them a little bit of patterns. As I mentioned, if you kill an enemy earlier in the level, it'll affect your patterns later in the level. And so Jeremy, you know, had a tough pattern there, but a really nice small crouch jump to get down to that platform and avoid getting hit by the cheap. Perfectly tied in 2-4. All right, let's see what fire flame they get here. I think it's going to be a high one, if I remember correctly. It is? See, even I know my patterns here. That's how good these runners are. They're so fast. And look at those Bowser kills. Perfectly identical. That's unbelievable. But both these runners so good that they're still on the spreadsheet, even with minimal time losses here. And those Bowser kills were literally identical. I mean, that was incredible. And identical starts to 3-1. They play it the same way. This is, I mean, it looks like they're just copying each other. If it wasn't for, all right, now they're doing different things. But I mean, you know, for a moment there, I thought it was one player playing both games. And over the Koopas into 3-2. Once again, Mars holding the lead in score and coin count, but that's it. If there's a tie, they do a potato sack race as per tradition. That's right. Exactly, Cantaloupe. But into 3-2, perfectly in sync. Having some fun shooting different enemies out of the way. And they will kill different enemies. I know they both have a little different swag and fun strats that they do. But Mars does the Thank You Goofy. Jeremy does a hybrid of a Thank You Goofy and killing like every other enemy in the whole game. And they will both go into 3-3 all square. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 3-4, what kind of Podoboo patterns they get and how do they, you know, fare up against them. We've seen both times Mars go a little tiny bit slow through the section there in 3-4, but maybe those were just bad patterns. Now he's obviously going to be on a different point in the game in this run because both of them have lost a handful of frame rules. So should see different patterns here going into 3-4 than we've seen for Mars, especially in the first two races. So going into 3-4, let's take a look and see what happens. Mars pulling out a 3-coin advantage over Jeremy. Jeremy's got the lead in the score now, though, so, you know, that's all we have to separate these two. Oh, those are some patterns, and they both play it the same way. That was incredible, and they're still in sync. What is going on here? This is insane. Both of these runners playing in sync. Jeremy getting the 259, Mars the 258, but I think they get the same frame rule. They do. That was incredible. Oh my goodness. So, still perfectly tied going into 3-4. I mean, Jeremy must have beaten Mars by a frame there in 3-4. So this is this is insane. But both these runners putting on a clinic, and I mean, 2-4 and 3-4 looked identical. It looked like one player was, taking a splitter into two NESs and playing the level on both games there. It was insane, those Bowser kills. Yeah, Jeremy with the 2 coin count lead and the points lead now, so advantage Jeremy in the fun categories. But this is all done based off of time. Oh no, Mars with really bad luck there. He actually stopped the second Goomba, but somehow it put him into the third Goomba. He's going to take damage there, and this is just a mess for Mars. This is not what he wanted to have happen. I cannot believe what horrible luck he had there. A lot of that could have also been subpixel stuff based off of, how you do crouch jumps and stuff. But Mars going to grab power-ups here. He wants to have power-up going into 4-4 to be able to kill Bowser with fire, but that was really, really, really bad, unfortunate luck there for Mars. Just not what he wanted to have happen. An early lead, I should say, lead about halfway through the game now for Jeremy, but not over yet. We saw Jeremy take damage in race number 2, and anything can happen at this point in time, but disadvantage for Mars, especially because he won't know patterns in World 5 at this point, and Jeremy, a little bit of an advantage here heading into 4-4. Mars got the sound glitch there, and I am going to switch over the sound to the player in the lead, Jeremy, as he is in the castle 4-4, going to take the maze here. So we have a really good question here in chat. Do you runners keep track of the opponent, or do you isolate yourself? It depends on the runner. Some like to watch their opponent or watch the restream. Some don't. So it'll be a good question to ask both runners after the race. But Jeremy definitely with a sizable advantage at this point in time. And we'll see if Mars can claw the lead back. He is going to need a mistake from Jeremy because Jeremy will be able to do things a little bit faster in World 5 and maybe even 6-4 than Mars will be able to, because Jeremy has had a perfectly clean race, other than a few frame rules lost here and there. And Jeremy getting a little bit of a troll pattern there, but able to deal with it well. That is one of the very rare troll patterns you will see in 5-1, the way that Koopa bounced before the stairs. 5-2, gotta watch this opening bullet bill. No problem there for Jeremy. He knows the spreadsheet. He knows the frame rule he's on and knew he wasn't gonna get a shot there. Almost all of the early frame rules, if you have a really clean run, will put you in a spot where you're not gonna get a bullet bill shot. And Mars challenging, not getting a shot as well. So very good for him. He was able to react and see no bullet bills being fired, and is able to pull off a fast 5-2 as well. So that's what Mars needs to be able to stay clean and keep up as much pace as possible. If Jeremy makes a mistake, there's a chance if Mars goes as fast as possible in these levels that Mars could still retake the lead. And Jeremy now in the 5-3. Let's see what kind of bullet bills he gets. Mars is not going to know the bullet bills that he gets. Woo! Woo! Jeremy dealing with some fun patterns there, but executing perfectly, getting the 259 on the timer. But that high 259 is going to be the same as a 260, so he's not going to lose any frame rules there in 5-3. Mars also good patterns here. Probably will get the very high 259, and we got the 260 anyway, so both players getting the optimal frame rule. Jeremy doing the Roy L. Goodbar strategy. Nice fire bar there for him. And coming through the next section, going to wait on the Potaboos, as is the safe strategy. 5 fireballs on Bowser, 257 on the timer. Now Mars, he did the good bar strategy as well. It looked like he had a little bit slower part on the good bars, so we'll have to see what happens here for Mars. If he can get the 257, or I think he's going to get 256. He does, but it was a really high 256. So Mars not that far different in terms of time there in that level versus Jeremy. Just a little bit longer waiting under that question block at the big fire bar section. The reason, for those of you who may not know, the reason they wait there is to set up good fire bars in the tunnel section. And that's a strategy found by Roy LT, which is named the Roy L Good Bars strategy. And there are times where you can just run through the level and get good fire bars, but both of these runners were not in positions to either be able to get good fire bars, or in Mars's case, he didn't know if he'd get good fire bars or not. So he did the strategy that'll guarantee him good fire bars. All right, good 6-2 for both runners so far. Really fun level. You get to kill a lot of enemies, a lot of piranha plants that you snipe out of the way. Perfect for Jeremy. Let's see how Mars handles the end of this level. Perfect 342 for Mars as well. You do need to do that turn back or a little slowdown at some point in the level so that you don't take 3 fireworks to the face with a 343 on the timer. So you got to get that 342 to prevent yourself from losing time to the fireworks animation. 255 for Jeremy is optimal. We'll see if Mars can get the 255. Now, 6-4 is going to be interesting. Does Jeremy have a pattern that he can challenge the Potaboos on? Because he is fast enough to be on the spreadsheet if he's mapped it out far enough. He does. The double under there. And on his way through the tunnel section, he's going to have some fire bars. He does take a slip there, and that is an unfortunate slip because that's going to open up the door for Mars. You are going to want to power up in 7-1 because if you don't grab power up in 7-1, you could deal with some really bad hammer bros. So this is a huge, huge opening for Mars. He could even take the lead here in 7-1. We'll just have to see how things shake out after Jeremy. Oh, he decides to forego the opening power-up. He better hope he gets some good hammer bros here. Gets the first hammer bro kill, double kill. Let's see what happens with the second hammer bros. He gets a troll pattern. This is why you want to maybe think about getting that power-up. And he's going to skip the power-up here as well. So he's going to go small only, I think, at this point. We'll have to see if he grabs power-up in 7-3. But he's not going to be able to fire kill Bowser in 7-4. He's not going to have Fire Flower in 8-1. So this is going to be a very intriguing situation that has developed for Jeremy and Mars. And Jeremy cannot take a hit here, or he will take a death because he is not powered up at all. So this just got super, super interesting. All right, good opening choke point there for Jeremy. Good opening choke point there for Mars. Gets the kill on the Cheep Cheep. Woohoo! Brushing under that Cheep Cheep there does Jeremy. And no problems for the pattern as far as the bad blooper. He did have a kind of a troll Cheep Cheep that he couldn't fire out of the way because he didn't have fire. So he will lose a little bit of time. And Mars also going to lose that time. And going to lose an extra in-game second as well, having to do the buffer jump here to avoid a 306 on the timer. So Jeremy pulling out maybe a second or so there in 7-2. We'll see if he grabs his power-up or not. This might be one situation where if you are watching your opponent back, that gives you a bit of an advantage because you kind of know what you need to do. Jeremy skipping power-ups, so whoo doggy, he is going for it. He's going to lose time on the axe grab in 7-4 versus Mars if Mars keeps it clean and keeps his power up. But then we'll have to see what strategies Jeremy employs in 8-1. Does he go any percent strategies or does he go with safer strategies in 8-1? If he goes any percent strategies where you do the pipe jumps, those pipe jumps are very treacherous and you have very small windows to hit those jumps. As Mars going into 7-4 with the proper coin count. All right, let's take a look at 7-4. Jeremy coming up to Bowser. What kind of pattern will he get? Forward! Forward is the best that he could get there. He doesn't have to wait for Bowser, so that will save him a little bit of time there. Mars now going to come up for a fire kill on Bowser. And there we go. He's going to gain time on Jeremy just from fire killing Bowser, whereas Jeremy had to wait for the bridge to collapse Bowser to fall in the lava, and what strategies does Jeremy go for here in 8-1? We're about to find out. Safer strategies. So Jeremy playing it safe in 8-1. Don't blame him. You do not want to take a death at this point. Again, no checkpoints in World 8. Little brush on the block there. Hit the star block. And let's see if he goes for this pipe jump. He's not going to go for it. So Mars going to close even more on Jeremy. Things are getting tighter. Tighter and tighter and tighter. This is going to be a question that we're going to want to ask Jeremy afterwards. Is he watching the restream? Does he know where Mars is? And he has that Piranha Plant. He needs to wait on the 6. Void the 6 for the fireworks. But Mars closing fast. We'll see what the gap is here as this screen transitions. 17:20, very late 17:20 for Jeremy. Very late 17:25 for Mars, so almost exactly 5 seconds. Probably 4.9 seconds apart for Mars and Jeremy, which is about 14 frame rules in time. Jeremy going under the Koopa there. Gonna do the BBBB strategy. He skips the mushroom. There was a power-up that he could get there. And beautiful BBBB strategy there from Jeremy, which is a strategy found by Xerox Fiend that lets you do safe strategies in 8-2. But Mars is going to close up. Maybe another couple frame rules. And Jeremy going to have to hope he doesn't get trolled here in 8-3. It's up to the Hammer Bros as to maybe... Oh, no! Jeremy takes a hit to the bullet bill. And Mars pulling out the advantage with the firepower and the lead in time now. Mars looking good, but anything can happen. You never know what'll happen in these races. Bad things can happen even to the best in the world, but that is not what Jeremy needed at this point in time. And that is a lead change in Mars's favor. Jeremy gets by the Hammer Bros this time and does the little slowdown, but advantage Mars. However, if Mars misses a wall jump, he takes a hit somewhere, has to wait in the final room. You never know what'll happen, but certainly Mars is in a position to take game number 3 and move on to the grand finals. All right, Mars hits the wall jump. Jeremy into the wall jump room himself. Gets the 1 frame setup. Mars had to do a little extra wiggle there to make sure he scrolled the screen far enough for this wrong warp. But 2 rooms left for Mars. As long as he doesn't take a hit here, he should be fine. Exiting into the final room. All he has to do is make sure he doesn't take a hit to this Hammer Bro. He doesn't. It doesn't matter if he takes a hit to the Potaboo. The iframes will get him to the axe with a time of 19:27. GG's for Mars. Jeremy, 19:32. Still clawing some time back in 8-4, but unfortunately for Jeremy, not enough. That was an incredible race, an incredible set of 3, and Mars taking the victory 3-2 over Jeremy. Or sorry, 2-1 in the best of 3 series over Jeremy. Holy cow, that was incredible stuff. But Mars gonna move on to the finals. Number 1 seed versus number 2 seed, GT Ace and Mars02 for the victory for the championship in the 2020 SMB1 Warpless tournament. And we do have both Mars and Jeremy in the commentary room, in the waiting room. Mars, you take this 2-1. Certainly no lack of drama. Of course, Jeremy taking game 1, you taking game 2, and then a back and forth game number 3. Tell us about your sequence of races there, Mars.
Okay, the first 2 or races 1 and 3 were really bad. I took hits that really I don't normally take in races. But the second race was really good. That was 1909 until I got hit by a Potaboo.
Yep, and we also have Jeremy in the commentary room. Jeremy, unfortunately, end of the road for you here in this tournament. However, you put on a really good show. You take race number 1, had a lead in race number 3, and I hope you guys get to watch the restream of this because you and Mars were doing incredible things at the start of race number 3. The Bowser kills you had in 2-4, 3-4 looked identical to each other. It was bananas, but overall, Jeremy, I think you have to be pretty pleased with your tournament despite not making it to the finals.
Yeah, thank you. That was. I don't even. I'm out of words. I was watching as I was playing, and we were synced into World 4 that way. That was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it was really crazy. And that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Jeremy, was were you watching it back? Because the strategies you took there in, World 7 and 8, because you took that hit in 6-4, slipping off the firebar block there, World 7 and 8, I was thinking you're probably watching the stream back given the strategies you took there.
Well, so I challenged the 3-4 and 5-4 stuff, right? I was planning on it, but it just happened that both times I got there on really difficult patterns. So I was really considering not challenging 6-4, and I wish I had. Or I hadn't, I guess. But
right.
Yeah.
But
dang
yeah.
swipes.
World 7, you went for it, and you got the double bottom hammer bros there. Had to wait them out, but man, you kept it clean. That double bottom pattern is really tricky because not only are they in front of you, but they're raining hammers down on you. But you got through there. Unfortunately, 8-3 is what did you in there.
Yeah, I can probably count on one hand the number of times I've gotten a bad bill there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it happened at the worst time.
It did indeed. And so Mars, you are going on to the finals to face GTAce, of course, world record holder GTAce. You already took out the other sub-19 runner, Cosmic, in this tournament. So how are you feeling heading into the finals?
Well, I'm very excited I've made it this far. Hopefully, I don't get like a 1921 and a 1927 like I did. I want to get like a 1911 around there. Win or lose, if I get those kinds of times, I'll be happy.
That's right, and should say that you're the one who took out GTAce in last year's tournament, so bit of a revenge matchup here. Jeremy, as far as you're concerned, it's the end of the road. As we mentioned, you're pretty happy with your tournament result. You got this far. What are your plans now that the tournament's over? What categories or games are you going to be grinding?
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I've been kind of on and off doing 2J Warpless during this tournament. And I think now I'm going to pick that up. Untold, the ROM hack that everyone and their dog has a run in now.
Except me.
Probably going to do that.
LB has run and go, so,
I'll get a Warpless PB, hopefully, fingers crossed, without 3 fireworks and a Lotoboo. And, yeah.
There you go. So, Jeremy going to be doing 2J, and for those of you who don't know what that is Super Mario Brothers 2, but the Japanese release for the Famicom disk system. If you're American or European, you probably played the one with the vegetables. That is not the Japanese release, but so Jeremy going to be grinding the Warpless category of SMB 2 Japanese version. So I think as far as interviews, we got everything in. We talked about these races, talked about what's upcoming. GTAce and Mars are going to be scheduling their finals soon, so be on the lookout for that. As far as upcoming races in this tournament, we don't have anything scheduled yet, but I'm sure we will soon. The grand finals of the SMB1 2020 Warpless still to come. As far as other scheduling stuff, right now on SpeedGaming 2, we have Diablo 1 PvP Championship, and then at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on SpeedGaming 3, we're going to have some Luigi's Mansion, 7:15 on this channel, Link to the Past, Rando, so all sorts of stuff going on here on the SpeedGaming family of networks. Thank you very much, SpeedGaming, for hosting this tournament. We got one more to go, and you guys have been really kind and incredible for putting this on year after year for us. I also want to say thank you, of course, to Rupert83, Rupert being the admin of this tournament, the creator of this tournament. So big shout outs to Rupert there. And that is going to do it for the second semifinal of the SMB1 2020 Warpless tournament. I am your commentator, Takate. GG's Mars, GG Jeremy. Thank you both for an incredible tournament, and good luck to Mars and GTAce in the finals. We'll see you all then. Take care, everybody.